Well, thank you, Tim, for the text. Looks like we're all a go for the culture change webinar using the active system. I'd like to welcome everyone to the webinar. I think we're going to have several people tapping in as we go along. We'll first talk about how you can communicate with me during the webinar. Now, if you have signed in with your Google account, you should be able to send a text and I believe also communicate with me verbally. Now the text will show up on the side of my screen as you send them in. So please, any questions, send them in as we go along and I will address them. If you have attended the webinar by clicking the icon on the activesystem.org website, then you will be able to watch the webinar live, but you will also be able to communicate me with directly. And I'm going to share my screen and show you that screen that you can use to communicate with me directly. Okay. So when you go to the website and click the webinar, you come to this screen here. You have the Culture Change webinar that you can click on to sign into. But notice below it, you can add a comment right here. And I will be checking this page intermittently through the webinar to see if anyone has added a comment, questions, or whatever you would like to ask or comment, and we'll address them throughout the seminar. Okay, so I'm going to minimize this, and then we are going to start by going into the active system. Okay, we start off with the standard version of the active system, also known as the old version, but standard version sounds a little bit better. And this is the opening screen whenever you click the icon on the desktop. And you put in your password, and you are presented with a roster of residents. And this basically, the idea with the active system is highlight the resident that you want, and then you hit enter, and you come to the admission screen where you input all of your information about the active system. One thing about the active system is it's designed to make it extremely easy and direct to put in your information and to get your information regarding the residents that you're working with. And that is why on this screen here, the opening screen of the active system, you have the list of residents, the resident number, and their diets and their dining location, all designed to be a quick reference for you throughout the day so that you don't have to be clicking and dropping down and going to different areas in order to get the information that you need. Now, if we go up here to F3-admit, we can go to the new version of the active system new version. You click that. And you come to the new version, which presents you with even more information about the resident. This is designed as a workspace or a working desktop, as I refer to it. And it presents you with everything that the active system has regarding the resident that you're currently on. I hope everyone knows who Ellie Mae Clampett is. Some youngsters may not realize that she was a character on the Beverly Hillbillies. So this is not an actual resident. These are demonstration residents and information. Okay, also notice if you can scroll back and forth that this screen continues off to the right, And the far right, you have an orange box which contains the documentation by the certified dietary manager or the dietary manager. And next to that is the blue box that has the registered dietitian documentation. And then at the initial screen, you have all of the clinical data and demographic data for the resident, all presented in one neat screen. And to make any changes, you simply click the line and the line comes up and you type in whatever you want. Click submit, and there you go. Okay, so it's quick and easy. Click on where you want and make the change. You also do the same for your weights. And there's some other buttons here that help you to add days to the weights to make it easier to put in the dates, or you can set the date. Okay, those are just some general aspects of input for the active system. But what I want to emphasize is the tremendous economies of efficiency whenever the dietary manager and the dietitian are working together through the active system. You can see what the dietary manager has done, the dietary manager can see what you've done, and all of the information that each of you uses is presented on the same screen. Also, you can rest assured that what is going on in the kitchen in terms of the resident, what diet they're on, what's on their tray card, and the nourishments are also right in front of you. So everything tends to match, everything tends to be right where you need it whenever you're assessing the resident, and it streamlines the documentation tremendously. And the other thing the active system does is it builds on itself. So the next time you assess the resident, you have everything that you've done before right in front of you. And all you have to do is update the current information regarding the labs and the weights. But everything else is already updated because it is using the same information on the tray card as on the screen in front of you. So right off the bat, the active system saves tons of time, especially if the dietitian and the dietary manager are working together through the active system. But let's progress on further. We're going to go from the new version directly to the web-based version of the active system. Before we go there, we need to discuss the advantages and the disadvantages of a web-based system. Actually, the active system has what's called a web net, which presents you with the advantages of both worlds. The advantages of having a desktop and the advantages of having a web-based system. The advantages of a desktop system are that it's fast and it's right there in front of you. You have complete control over it. You own your data, and you print directly from the desktop to your printer. The disadvantage is if your desktop computer goes down, you're down. So that's why a lot of people like a web-based version. But let's talk about the web-based version. What is involved there? Well, first of all, you need to have an internet connection. And that may sound like a small thing, but I can guarantee you in every one of my facilities, the internet has gone down several times each and every year. And it seems also that the length of time that it goes down increases. Now, this may not be a problem if you're on a MDS software. The MDS coordinators have one deadline to meet. They need to submit their MDSs by the end of the month. Unlike dietary has 3 deadlines to meet each and every day, every single day of the year. They have to print tray cards for breakfast, lunch, and supper. So, as much as dietary managers work to stay ahead of printing tray cards, it isn't entirely possible to say completely ahead of the game at all times. A good case in point is printing tray cards for the weekend. You print on Friday for Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and Monday, and then you come in Monday ready to print tray cards again, and that is one of the best times for the internet to go down. If you are a totally web-based system, that causes a problem. Okay, so that's one disadvantage of the web-based system. The other disadvantage is you do not own your data if you're on a web-based system. If you want to switch to another system, guess what? You got to start from scratch because you don't have any data. That is with your web-based company, and they have that data as part of their database on their web server, and you don't have it on your computer. Okay, so that is one of the disadvantages of a web-based system. And the other disadvantage is you can't predict when the internet is going to go down, and then you're kind of stuck. You're stuck until you can get the internet back up. Now, the third disadvantage is who is responsible for keeping the internet up and running? Well, golly gee, that is you. That is not the person providing your software. So the person providing the web-based software has to keep one copy of their software running on their server, and it is up to you to maintain the internet connection. All of a sudden, all of the IT problems become yours and not theirs. It's your IT problem to maintain the internet connection. Also, many of the web-based systems also require the Acrobat Reader in order to do their printing. That causes a problem because the Acrobat Reader has its own set of settings that need to be set appropriately for the system to work. So once again, you're introducing another whole set of problems requiring the Acrobat Reader. That also goes for your web browser. Your web browser has a whole multitude of settings that need to be set properly in order for the system to run properly. And guess who is responsible for maintaining your proper settings? Well, you are, so that you can maintain that connection to the web-based software. So at first glance, it seems like web-based software is the way to go because you don't have to install anything, and you don't have to, you can run it on any computer. But if your internet goes down, where are you going to go? Go home to print your tray cards? No, you still need an internet connection. And it usually does not go out for just one computer in the building. It goes out for all of them. So those are some disadvantages of the web-based system versus the desktop system. The active system is trying to give you the best of both worlds. And let's take a look at the web-based version. Now, we're at the new version of the active system, and I'm going up to Internet and clicking that drop-down menu, and we're going to go to Web Roster. And there it is. That's the internet web-based version of the active system. And notice you have your drop-down menu here for all of your residents. It'll be longer for an actual facility, but this is just demo data. And then you go up to, we're going to go look at tray cards, how to print tray cards before we go into the actual card X. Go to tray cards up here and click all tray cards. Okay, and you have all your different ways to print tray cards listed here. We're going to print by room. It's going to click this once, and boom, there you are. That's all your tray cards, breakfast, lunch, and supper for all your residents right there. Now notice that this loads 5 to 10 times faster than a traditional web-based software, and that's why is that? That's because we're not using the Acrobat Reader. The Acrobat Reader comes with its own overhead that needs to be loaded first, and running that program to do your printing is a bloated, slow approach to printing from the internet. And then to print your tray cards, actual print, send them to the printer, you click the print button there and then select whichever printer you want or your default printer and just click print again. But notice how quickly all of that loads into the browser window and you're ready to print within seconds. Okay, now let's try another way to print. I'm going back to the printing page and I'm going to put beginning day 1, ending day 1, and I'm going to print tray cards. Boom. Now what's different? What's different is Ellie Mae Clampett has her select menu choices listed before the green and pink boxes. And that's the way the online menu system works with the active system. If a resident is on the select menu program and they have selections for the day that you print, boom, their selections are on the tray card along with all the other tray cards. The other tray cards may or may not have selections. It depends on whether they're on the select menu program or not. And the active system handles all that for you. You simply give the sign on to the resident and family members. They go and make their selections, and the next time the tray cards print, those selections are on the tray card. If they go in and make any changes, those changes show up on the tray card. And that's some of the advantages of the online select menu, which we'll discuss shortly. Okay. So that's printing tray cards and how quick and easy it is on the web-based version of the active system. Let's load up a resident. Ellie Mae Clampett is in there. We're going to load her up, and this is her Cardex. It has everything that you saw on the new version and the old version of the active system. You can scroll down and see all the different boxes for the labs. You got your weights here, you know, where you put in your weights. New weights are added there. It gives you a space to put in, let me see, 7 different weights. Okay, and your different labs and the skin assessment system. The active system has everything you would need to record on your skin sheets right there. And if you your facility is using this, it's a wonderful tool. It's as complex and comprehensive as any other skin sheet, but it manages it all for you. Plus, it's also there for your assessments. You have your meal consumption. At 90 days of meal consumption can be recorded for each resident. And then you have your dietitian comments and recommendations, and below that is your CDM or dietary manager comments and recommendations. And notice that each one has several lines of notes already in place. That is based on the active system analyzing the information on the resident already in place. Now it's up to you as the practitioner to look at the comments, read them, review them, edit them, and add to them. But essentially half of your typing is already done, if not more. Now you'll see these double X's up here at the first date. Your changes or this note will not be saved unless you change that XX to the current year. Okay. Now, why is that? That's because there's one submit button for everything on this page. And if you're just putting in weights or you're just putting in labs and you want to submit that input, it doesn't also add this note to the input also, unless, of course, you change the XX to the current year. Okay, so that's how all that is managed. Okay, so this is the Cardex for the resident. Each resident has one of these Cardexes, and this is where you go to input your information for the residents. Okay, now let's look at how you go look at the menu selections. You have a link here for menu selections. You click that. And this is the select menu page that the resident and their family members would be directed to. Whenever you give them a username and password, they sign on, and the page that comes to their screen. This is actually a folder for each resident has their separate folder. Inside your folder, each facility has their own separate folder on the Active System website. And then inside that folder are a series of folders for one for each resident. So in other words, the resident signs on, they can only access their folder, and they have absolutely no access to anything else in the Active System. Okay? Now, what this is when they come to it is a listing of all the different days of the menus. And notice we don't ask them to determine which day of the cycle that they are on. They just click the day and the proper date that they want to select. Okay, when they do that, this is what comes up. Very simple and easy select menu. Now the background of this is XYZ facility. Of course, we would get graphics from your facility and have them show up in the background to customize it for your facility. But basically you have a list of everything on your menu and a checkbox next to it. And they simply click on what they want. Just click anything. And you have a listing for breakfast, and then one for lunch, and then one for supper. Now notice at the bottom of each meal is this slot here for your dining locations. Now this is editable. We set them up according to your facility. You have complete control over what's listed here, but you basically have a abbreviation up to 3 characters and then a description of the dining location. Okay, now this by default comes up blank, meaning that the current dining location in the Cardex for the resident is going to be used, unless, of course, they want to change it. They can change it to table number 3. That could be a table in the special dining room. It could be a table out in the courtyard where they're going to eat with their family, but they can select a different place to eat for each meal on their select menu. And this allows changing the dining location on the fly, is the way I refer to it. What this means is anybody, they can have a set dining location, but they can change it at any time. If they make a change, they change it on the day that they want on their select menu day page, and the Active System stores it and prints that new dining location on the tray card, and also makes a list of all the dining location changes, and you get that printout at the end of your printout for printing your tray card, so that you can see that these particular residents have changed their dining location for that meal, and you can go and get their tray card to make sure it's in the new dining location for that day. And you will also receive a notification on the kitchen request board, which we haven't looked at yet, and also receive a text and or email. Of course, you have complete control over who receives this text or email, but the dietary manager would be interested in getting this so that they would know that this is a special change for this particular resident that needs to be followed up on to make sure that their dining location is in fact changed for that particular meal. So everything's fully communicated and documented to make sure that anybody can change their dining location at any time, at any place. And that's one of the features of culture change that the state surveyors are beginning to look for. Can people eat wherever they want to eat? Just like at home, where sometimes you eat in front of the TV, sometimes you eat in the dining room, sometimes you eat in the kitchen, sometimes you eat in bed. All these different places need to be handled as part of culture change. But that also needs to be done routinely and easily so that the resident feels empowered to eat wherever they choose. Okay, so that's the select menu, online select menu. What are the advantages of the online select menu? Well, one huge advantage of online select menus is you don't have to distribute the menus, have someone select them, and pick them back up. That takes tons of time, and that prevents a lot of facilities from offering a select menu, because who's going to distribute them and who's going to pick them up? But most importantly, who's going to help the resident do the actual selections? Well, the family members can, yes, and the staff members can to a certain extent, but it becomes a it becomes a task that everyone needs to do each and every day, or each and every cycle of the menu, on ad infinitum. But with an online select menu, all of these selections are saved and they come up and printed on the tray card each and every time. So in other words, once you get your residents to select the 28 days of your cycle menu, you're done. There's no more helping people to select, unless, of course, they want to make changes. They always can make changes. Just go back to their select menu page and make the change, and the next time that day the menu prints, those changes will be in place. But the essence is, once you get everyone selected, the select menu program, online program, kind of just goes on by itself without much input or effort from anyone, from the families, from the residents, or from the staff. The selections are in place and they have chosen what they want. And we have a record of that, so we can use it each and every time that day the menu comes up without any input or work on anybody's part. Now, if they want to make changes, they certainly can. Okay, so those are the advantages of the online select menu. It empowers your residents and family members, and it can be done without any effort once you get everybody selected. Okay, let's look at some other things. Let's look at the kitchen request board. Well, let me check and see if we have any questions so far. Hold on. Okay, I think we're good to go. No questions as of yet, but let's move on. Okay, we have the kitchen request board. If you click on the kitchen request board, this is what comes up. Now, you have complete control over everything that's in these check boxes. This is what you offer on your kitchen request board. And the residents and or family members can go here and simply click what they want, pudding and early lunch or whatever. So this goes to addressing whenever they want to eat. So sure, we have set meal times, and most residents will want to attend the set meal times for socialization purposes. That's when everyone else is going, so that's when they want to go. But there are times when they want to eat early or eat late, and this is where they can do it. Go to the kitchen request board from the day of the menu that they want to eat early or late, and simply click this and then click submit. Now, before they click submit, they can also go down here and they can put banana pudding, the type of flavor that they want for the pudding, or anything else they want. They can put in the blue box, and then you click submit. And it gives you a printout on the screen of what you just sent to the kitchen. and then they can go on about their business, realizing that this kitchen request is going to be received by the kitchen and addressed. Now, if we can go back, forgot to point something out on the kitchen request board. Right here, we have the email option. So the family member or resident can input their email. So if they can get the responses back from the kitchen directly to their email. Now, there is also in the settings where you put in email and text message addresses where you're getting the responses back also. We'll cover that as soon as we get back to the actual kitchen request board. Now realize that all of these screens here are within the residents folder. So there is no access back to the resident roster. So, but because we came here from the resident roster, we can hit our backspace key to get back to it. And here we are back to the resident roster. And right here, we've got KRB. It's the kitchen request board. And here is the setup. Now let's go to the kitchen request board first. All right, so we come to the kitchen request board. The idea here is to mount a tablet computer, one of those $99 tablets, on the wall someplace in the kitchen that's in sight of the cook. Now, I recommend that you mount it in some way that where it can't be removed, because tablets will disappear. So you mount it someplace so it can't be removed. And out of the corner of their eye, the cook noticed a big pink box showing up on the kitchen request board. That means that someone has made a request. And we see where Ellie Mae Clampett wants banana pudding and an early lunch. Okay, now they would tap this, the cook would tap this bottom slot here, and these are the standard responses that are available to the cook. Now you have complete control over what these responses are, but they simply go and select the one that they want, press it with their finger or click with the mouse, and that is their response. Okay, your request has been forwarded to nursing. It's been filled and forwarded to nursing. Then they click submit. And the kitchen, the same request, but it's in green now. What does that mean? Well, that means that your request has been forwarded to nursing. Nursing is a key word in this program. If the response has the word nursing in it, the box turns green. And the idea is that nursing would have a tablet on the nurse's station and or have the kitchen request board called up on the computer at the nurse's station, and they would see a green box show up, indicating that they need to do something. So then they would notice that, okay, apparently Miss Ellie Mae Clampett has ordered some pudding from the kitchen and is also going to get an early lunch. So what they do is collect on the responses, and they put in their appropriate response, click the checkbox, and then click submit. And now the box comes up with a record of the actual request, the response from the kitchen, and the response from nursing. Now notice each of these lines that came up, they have the username and then the time here. Now these usernames would be different, but I'm signing on as active, and that's just for the demo program. but that would be the name of a person, whoever signed on. So the name of your cook would be here, their sign-on name, and the name of the nurse would be below it with their sign-on name. And the box is blue, indicating that everything has been addressed and delivered to the resident. So what you have here is a complete documentation system and communication system directly to the kitchen. And because it is user assigned, and each line is user assigned, username is indicated in each sign, you can use this kitchen request board to send diet changes, new diets, admission notices, whatever you use a diet slip for now, this can be done using the kitchen request board. Now, what are we doing here? What we're doing is eliminating the need for the nurse to get on the phone and call the kitchen and wait for somebody to answer the kitchen. We're eliminating the need to write out a diet slip and send somebody to the kitchen with the diet slip and deliver it to the kitchen. We're eliminating the need of somebody in the kitchen having to answer the phone, jot down a note, and deliver it to somebody in the kitchen. We're eliminating the need of the kitchen having to call the nurse's station to have something picked up once it's prepared, and or eliminating the need for somebody in the kitchen to deliver it if someone from nursing is going to come pick it up. So all of those issues are addressed directly through the kitchen request board, saving all the time that is wasted answering the phone, waiting for somebody to answer the phone, calling, waiting, picking up, and communicating through the telephone. Telephone was a wonderful thing for many years, but now we can do it directly through the internet and the kitchen request board, saving tons of time on both ends. All we have to do is spend the time actually preparing and delivering. All the other time is eliminated. So the kitchen request board empowers the resident and empowers the family member to make requests anytime that they want, but the staff is more able to meet those requests because we're saving all the communication time that was spent before is now no longer needed, and everyone just prepares what they need and has it picked up and or delivered. However, your facility determines you're going to do it. In most facilities, it's a combination. At certain times a day, nursing has to go pick it up, and other times a day, the kitchen can deliver it directly. Okay, so let's go back to the roster page. The roster page, you have a setup link here. If you click that, this is where you put in your email addresses and your text message. Now, anytime there's a request in the kitchen request board, you get an email showing that request if you're listed in one of these email slots, or you can get a text message, or you get both. So when a request is made, the dietary manager gets notification on his or her cell phone, either through the email or the text messaging. Now the cook knows that. The cook knows that it could be the dietary manager, the DON, the ADON, the administrator, the assistant administrator. All of upper management knows that this request has been made. So the cook is much more likely to just go ahead and get it done. Might as well, because if you don't, somebody's going to be asking why. Hey, what's going on? Okay. Now the cook responds, each of their responses to the initial request are also sent to you in an email. So if you get an email saying that Mrs. Ellie Mae Clampett has ordered some banana pudding, and that comes in at 2 o'clock, well, you know, if you don't get another text message showing a response, you know that that request has not been addressed. Okay, so that's the gist of all this. You're monitoring exactly everything that's going on in the kitchen through these messages that are coming back and forth. So you can know exactly who's requesting what, when they requested it, how quickly the response has been when they're getting it addressed. Same way within nursing. And you control who knows by filling in these slots here. Okay, now we go below the text messages. These are your standard responses that you can craft any way you want. Okay, then below that are your special items on your kitchen request board. You can update these, change them. You have up to 21 different things that you can offer that they can request at a click of a mouse or the press of a finger. Okay, all controlled here through the setup program. Okay, I'm going to see if there's any questions. Okay, I don't see any questions, so we must be doing just fine. Okay, we're going to go back. And we're going to go back to the kitchen request board. And you'll notice some of these buttons along the top. Okay, if you click the first one, this refrigerator freezer, you have a way that you can input the temperatures for your refrigerator and freezer. And these are your different refrigerators throughout your operation, walk-in refrigerator. You will have control over the names of all these different things. And the person, the cook would come in the morning and put in 39 degrees and hit submit temperature, back to temperature record. And they just keep going through, selecting whichever temperature, milk box, 40 degrees. Hopefully it's lower than that. Let's go 36. Oops. 36. And submit temperature. Okay. That's how they submit their temperatures. Okay. And the temperature record shows up down here in the bottom. So it has the actual temperature and the initials or the username. Up to 4 characters of the username will show up in the initials column. And that's how you record your temperatures. Down below that box is where you input the names of your refrigerators. And you can click submit once you make any changes there. But that's how quick and easy it is to put in your temperatures. Now, of course, once you put in all the temperatures for all the refrigerators and freezers for a given time of day, guess what? A text message is sent to whoever is listed in the setup program that has all the temperatures listed. Okay, but the idea behind this is, say you're the dietary manager and you're on your way in. Well, if you haven't received a text message showing the temperatures for all the refrigerators and freezers, guess what? They didn't record their temperatures. Okay, you can also get a feel for what is being recorded. If they're sending you 0 degrees for all the freezers and 40 degrees for all the refrigerators, you know they probably aren't reading the thermometers, and you need to talk to them about that. Also, they're much more likely to record their temperatures if they know that you're receiving a text every single day. Otherwise, something's going to be said. So all of a sudden, we have a incentive for the cooks to always be recording their temperatures. And we have a way to monitor whether they're just recording the same temperature each and every day. Now, of course, we can do this now. We'll come in and review all the temperatures each and every day. That's more or less after the fact. Okay, we also have a means of automatically recording temperatures in a lot of the refrigerators today. However, go down. And we don't know exactly when they're going to go down. And if something's causing the refrigerator problems, guess what? It's likely also causing the automated temperature recording problems also. So you have to set up a system for monitoring the monitoring system. Basically, you're not getting away from actually recording and monitoring something. Either you're monitoring and recording the actual temperatures, or you're monitoring and recording whether the monitoring and recording temperature program is working. So the bottom line here is we need a human being, an employee, looking at the temperatures of our refrigerators and freezers each and every day, making sure that they're working so that we can do something about it before it causes problems. And this system, this online kitchen temperature record, with the monitor this each and every day very easily and make sure that it is in fact being done, and it's much more likely to be done and much more likely to be monitored appropriately through this system than any other system that we have today. Okay, let's go back. Go back to the temperature record. Well, that's we need to go back to the kitchen request board, and we have another button for another set of refrigerators and freezers, just because you have a whole bunch of them. You can have 2 pages worth. You can also record food temperatures. That's your steam table temperatures, and you simply select the item, and your actual menu shows up here. Each and every day of the menu shows up for breakfast, lunch, and supper. You simply check the item you want to make a temperature of and put in the temperature. Okay. Steam table temperatures, recorded just like your other temperatures. And once you get all of your temperatures recorded for a given meal, guess what? You get a text message of what those temperatures were, which is even more critical. Because if you're getting temperatures showing foods that are 140, 130, you need to be addressing that immediately and making sure that the foods are 160 or above for the hot foods, and 41 degrees or less, preferably 37, 38 degrees for the cold food items, and make sure they stay good and cold. So this is a way you can monitor that on a meal-by-meal basis simply by looking at your text messages. And there's your record there. Okay, also, you have previous day and next day. You can look at previous days and next days by clicking these buttons. Very quick and easy reference. But also notice that it's mounted in the kitchen. Anybody wants to take a look at your kitchen records? Boom. They can go straight to that tablet and look for themselves. Okay. Go back to the temperature record. Need to go back to the kitchen request board. Go back to the kitchen request board. We have some other buttons in place here. Again, you can look at your dish machine. Same way it's recorded as all the others. And you have your record down below. And your breakfast wash, breakfast rinse, breakfast ppm, lunch wash, ppm, etc. Okay, and once again, you get all your breakfast temps done, you get an email, a text message. Go to pot and pan sink. That also is done the same way. Just your wash temperature, rinse temperature, and ppm. Back to the request board. And the last one is meal percentages. Now this is a very simple and easy way for you to record meal consumption. I realize that a lot of facilities already have meal consumption input on the walls of the corridors of the nurses stations for the CNAs to input. Have this available to help everyone to realize that the expense at having those kiosks is a tremendous expense, and it can simply be done through the active system. And if we can do meal consumption, we can do any ADLs or anything else that needs to be recorded at a fraction of the cost of some of the other systems. And realize also that all of these inputs can be done through your cell phone also, which we'll cover. Well, it's difficult to cover it with a webinar, but basically you go to the, on your browser and your cell phone, you go to www.asys.me, asys.me. If you go to that, it starts you off on the cell phone portion of every single screen that we've looked at, and it comes up on your cell phone, slightly format change, but basically the same screen, very large print. So you don't have to just, use your fingers to make the screen larger. It's very large print, shows up very well on the cell phone, and essentially any resident or family member can input their select menus or make kitchen requests on their cell phone. Any of the cooks can input their temperatures on the tablet on the wall, but they can also input them through their cell phone also. And this is the same way with meal consumption. Meal consumption can be done through a tablet on the wall. That's not an expensive you see mounted on the walls in nursing homes today. This is your $99 tablet, which you could have 3 or 4 of them at the nurse's station or anywhere else they want to work. To input their meal consumption and ADL information, or they can do it on their cell phone if they prefer and they relate better to their cell phones, which I can guarantee you they do. They can use their own cell phones. This facility probably has some obligation to have an alternative available, but I bet you anything they would all prefer to enter it through their cell phones. Now, of course, each user has their own username and password, so we're all protected. But essentially, all this stuff can be done through your cell phone. That's including that entire Cardex that you saw for each resident. That comes up on your cell phone, and you just simply scroll through it. Okay, so that's your meal consumption. It's done the same way as the temperature consumption. Very quick and easy. You just select the resident that you want, and you input their meal consumption. And click Submit Percentage. Boom. And go back and do your next resident. So very quick and easy for them to input their consumption. There's Susie Q, got a 50%, and it was initialed by who was ever signed on. Okay. Now all this stuff goes to the web-based version, and then you can go to the desktop version and download it to the desktop, or we can set certain parameters where all of meal consumption is located on the web, and all of weights are located on the web or on the desktop. We can pick and choose where we want them to. Where we want the original to, the data to originate from. And then if the meal consumption is originating on the web, then whenever you go into that person's Cardex on your desktop, it automatically just pulls it down from the web. It doesn't compare the two. It just assumes that the updated information is on the web and pulls it down. Okay. So that is all of the input for the active system on the web-based version, as well as the desktop version. And we're going to go back to the resident roster. Return to home roster. Okay, so that is we're at the web-based version of the active system here, and we can also call up the desktop version. All the two are interacting back and forth, updating each other as we go along. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen and see what we have in terms of any questions regarding the active system. Okay. All right. Any questions? If you want to send in the chat, or let me check the other website here. The actual sign in, if you have any questions. Okay. I don't see any questions there. All right. Let me head back to the screen. And I would just like to say thank you for joining the webinar. And we will have future webinars discussing various other aspects of the active system, such as menu development. We're going to be developing a system that I call presets, where the active system already spreads everything across the different dice automatically. But that's somewhat of a complex procedure that you need to get used to. Certainly is possible. Many dietary managers do that and are able to manage and change their menu as needed, so that the menu becomes a more of a dynamic menu rather than a menu that changes at set times during the year. You simply are meeting with your residents, finding out what they want and changing your menu, and you have kind of an ebb and flow and give and take between the various residents throughout the facility, all of them deciding what they want changed on the menu, and you change it according to their wishes, and you're constantly changing it according to their wishes. That's what the idea of the active system is, especially in the menu management portion. What we're going to do with the presets, it's going to allow us to do that on the web as well as on the desktop. Right now it's limited to just the desktop, and that does create something that makes it more available for everyone to do menu changes rather than just on your desktop. Then, of course, it'll also be available through your cell phone. But right now, you can walk down the aisle of your nursing home and put in likes and dislikes. You can put in weights. You can put in meal consumption. All of that stuff can be done through your cell phone at any time, and it's automatically uploading, or it's really you're interacting directly with the web page, the Cardex web page for each resident. So when you're using the cell phone, you're actually using the web-based version, and then we pull that information down to the desktop version to make sure everything remains up to date. And you can set your mode for your desktop to assume that the web-based information is the up-to-date, or you can set it to where your desktop is the most up-to-date information, and that speeds things up even further. Otherwise, the active system is comparing the web-based data to the desktop data, and you get a series of questions that you click OK to, or indicate that the desktop is the web-based version is more up-to-date than the desktop for any given line of data. But it's a very quick click, 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 click. Okay, all that's done. Move on to the next resident. Okay, well, I thank you all for coming. And sign off now, and I'll see you next time I'm at your facility. Thank you very much. And anybody that's interested in going on this system called the Active System, just give me a call. My number is 904-382-7831. Or you can go to my website. It's www.activesystem.org. That's singular, ACTIVESYSTEM.org. Or send me an email. That's bill@activesystem.org. I'd be glad to demonstrate this program to you or your corporation or administrator, and get as many people on this as possible, because I think it's very useful for your residents and their family members. It sends resident satisfaction through the roof. And that's what happens when you empower people to determine what they're going to get, when they're going to get it, and where they're going to get it. And they feel comfortable doing that. Why? Because it's just simply a click into the computer or cell phone, and boom, it's all taken care of. That really empowers the residents and their family members. And that's what they need in order to be fully satisfied with the care that they're receiving. So that's what the Active System is all about. That's what the Active System has always been about. And I'm very excited about this new online select menu and the kitchen request board, because that furthers the cause farther than any time before. You are empowered to satisfy your residents and keep them satisfied. And it's actually going to be less work for you and the rest of the staff in the facility, and more beneficial to the residents and families. Okay, so thank you very much for attending, and I'll sign off.